So, all right. Full disclosure, I have no automotive experience. However, I started with a group 10 years ago. TC hired me a month after he started, and he started initially as the CFO of the company. So I was really, really blessed that I got to spend so much time with him, just like the two of us, so closely, because he is the best teacher. So he may not call himself my mentor, but he really mentored me, taught me everything I know about automotive, but not only automotive, but like how to be a graceful leader.
Yes.
I can look to him always when I consider like how should I act in this situation. And so it was really, really cool that we got a chance to have him like just sit here and have a conversation.
It was. And I had talked to him. I remember when I first interviewed to come to Hudson, he was there at the stores in Nashville, and I was like, he's important. Why is he talking to me? And I told him my son's name, and it's been 3 years now, and he's, how's Jack doing? It's like, how did you remember that? You know, and I also saw that I did not need to be nervous, as I was. You'll see what I mean.
Yeah, what a great conversation.
Yeah,
we
super
had.
cool. Love talking to TC. Come back soon. Thanks for coming between two cars. Take a look.
We're going to get into personal questions, which means that we can give a little bit more elaboration. Were you any good at your first job?
I think I did. We're talking about first job within the career field. We're not talking about like, I grew up on a farm.
You say yes, I say no.
No, yeah, first job ever.
First job ever.
Ever. Like the first.
Were you any good at
But
it?
I'm saying, what does job mean? Does that I grew up on a farm where we were laborers from the beginning, and so you're talking about first job where
Paying
somebody
job.
compensated me?
Yeah.
I would say decent because I showed up. I was a cook at a Sonic restaurant
Oh, really?
Okay.
in
No,
college.
so no roller skating food deliveries for you.
Apron instead of the roller skates. Yeah.
My first job was at Taco Bell,
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
and my brother had just gotten a job at Taco Bell. And so I decided I was going to see if I could get a job. I was 15. They gave me the job, and then they made me like shift manager or shift lead. And I was
I'm not at all surprised.
I was 15. So I would say I was pretty good, and I really pissed my brother off. He had to transfer to the other Taco Bell.
This story exists within my own family. I have 3 sons. The oldest, according to the other 2, was their manager at a Chick-fil-A, even though he was part-time.
How does that happen? Part-time manager?
Yeah. He's like Faith. He's
But you, honestly,
he's got it going on, organized. I mean,
you do. You have a face that's very like capable, and it just looks like competence. You know, like I would just give you something and like run it. You know what I mean? Like
It's the face.
I'll tell you the face I had at the at the Sonic. I was looking for 30 hours a week, 20 to 30. I had a full load in college, and I got them, and they all ended with close. So even if that shift was only going to be 2 or 3 hours, it was going to include close. We were living in a different time, and in that different time, you broke down all the equipment and washed it and everything after closing, and that was unpaid time.
unpaid.
Yeah, you clocked out when the place closed.
Is this
And
is this where you found your love for cooking, TC?
Is that legal?
It was back then.
Wow.
That's why they put laws on the books now.
No, that's true. Like the big HR posters you go, they're all laminated. So you can see,
Exactly.
like, I can't do that.
that's where I found my love for
Cool.
yes, deep frying.
passionate
The
about
deep
bread.
fryers. Just keep more fries in there, please.
So, my first job was at Culver's, and I got pulled off drive-through because I didn't know the difference between a sweet pickle and a dill pickle. And he was like, the owner was horrified. And I was like, I had the thing down. I was like, hey, welcome to Culver's, where better beef makes a better burger better. And it had the whole thing going on. And the customer was like, well, can I get a sweet pickle? I was like, all of our pickles are sweet pickles. And like, Frank was like, get him off. He doesn't know. Get off. It's like, oh.
Wow.
And then they made me dress up as Scoopy the ice cream cone for kids' birthday parties. So I was like a 6'5" ice cream because it sits on my shoulder, right? I'm already 6'2". And one kid asked me, how old are you? And I told him, my people have been around for centuries. That's literally what I said.
Oh. Weirdo alert. Weirdo.
Yeah, correct. It's like
They start shutting down the kids' party right then.
Right, you gotta save that clip for a future session.
Hey, honey, get little Johnny. We're heading home.
We're going to McDonald's now.
They haven't even opened gifts yet. It's okay.
Scoopy's staring into the void. We're
The
gonna.
ice cream machine is broke at McDonald's. Doesn't matter.
Oh man, that's awesome. All right. Would you ever go on Undercover Boss? You know that ridiculous TV show on CBS?
That's hard to say because I think the show's kind of funny and cool in some ways because it's usually depicting companies that are incredibly large.
Yes.
Where it feels less sinister than it would like if I were to behave that way in our world. You know what I mean? Because
yes, I do. That's well said.
I actually know the people that operate each of the stores, and so it'd be like me showing up unannounced in a disguise.
He just doesn't look natural.
He's really suspicious.
What would your disguise have on? Would you do a mustache and a mullet, maybe?
Yes,
Okay.
for sure, because that would fit with my accent, and then everything would be.
Hey, TC with a bad spray tan and like he's hair dye. Looks like somebody raided the company printer and put it in their hair. Like, but what I would do though is if you did, I would see like, I've had a really hard go of it lately. I've just been overcoming some personal struggles and my car broke down, and I'd wait to. So I would get the, because at the last episode they give all those employees stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just.
Yeah, and so that's all I'm saying is
Yeah.
that our intentions matter, and it feels like, at least the way the episodes I've seen of that show, it feels like the intention in those cases is for the undercover boss to actually, get greater connection or understanding of what's going on within their team. And in our world, which is smaller, I don't think it would feel that same way.
Correct.
It would be a different intention, and that is, aha, I caught you.
Yeah, that's kind of the vaudeville of the show. Kind of, it's that, oh, I caught him. He didn't know it was me. It's like, yeah, it's a smaller world and what we do. Yeah, that's fair.
I don't really watch that show, but does the boss on the show usually find somebody doing the wrong thing?
The producers
Or is he usually like pleasantly surprised at how things are
It's
going?
some of both, but it's usually, the boss then ends up really understanding the struggles of the team better and being a super good person that's encouraging them. And
Yeah. And occasionally there's a knucklehead who like, I don't do what the training says I should do. And then they have like a confrontation at the end. But like, yeah, typically it's kind of, a little bit more.
All right. So, TC, what is the last book that you read?
I've got some books I'm in the middle of right now. The last one that I read was Brothers K.
What is that about? I haven't heard of it.
I'm not surprised.
Is it a good one? Was it good?
It's especially good if you love baseball.
Okay. Well,
Two
do.
Two of my three sons, one gave it to me as a gift. The other one suggested to me that just recently that I read it, saying, oh my goodness, I just read this book, just finished it. You've got to read this. It's about a family in Camas, Washington, That's how I pronounce it when I read the book. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation. From a generation or so ago, that it's a large family, very little money, scrapping to get by. The father in the family had a short-lived minor league baseball career that was already not loved by his mom, but thought of great by his father, you know, and that baseball plays a real central role in this book, but so do the concepts, and you know, it's all centered around his career that goes on even later in life when his kids are grown. But he's also working at the local mill, and so, you know, it's a lot about family dynamics. The role of spirituality in the family. The mom is a Seventh-day Adventist, and the rest of the family are not. And watching each of the kids make decisions, you know, about how to view lives that are lived out before them, right? I mean, that's a lot of what happens in every family, is kids making judgment upon their parents or other of a generation before them about what was done well and what was not. But you know, we're all making those judgments absent of a lot of knowledge. Fair? I mean, we can all
Very
relate
fair.
to that, I think.
Very fair.
I hung out with my brother and my sister this past weekend, and it's been a while since we've all gotten together, and we certainly, those are the conversations we were having. You know, hey, all these things that happened when we were growing up, right? But also not from the perspective of, you know, our parents and, you know, what they were going through and like how they grew up and what they learned and all of that. So
Yeah, unfortunately, maybe I thought you were going to say not from the perspective the last time you all discussed them. You know,
'Cause
we all view our parents' decisions one way when we're 15, and maybe different when we're 25, and maybe different when we're 35. And
Yes, that's so true. Yeah, and too, I don't know, I've noticed since I've had a kid, I've actually become a lot more, I think, have a kinder appraisal of my upbringing, because I'm able to share, like, how difficult, I mean, you're doing everything tired all the time, you're always stressed out, you're always distracted, like, you don't have any closure for anything. It's a lot, you know what I mean? And it's like, it makes me look back at my folks and you guys did really well.
did a pretty good job.
You know, it's like,
that's what I mean.
yeah.
Did you start Project Hail Mary yet?
I have not.
Okay.
Book, the sci-fi.
Did you read it?
No, not yet.
Because your one of your sons is reading it, right?
Finished it, actually. He did. I'm in the middle of Facing the Mountain, and
Who wrote that? Do you know?
who wrote it? I don't know who wrote it. It's a fascinating story about what happened to Japanese Americans.
Internment.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Heavy.
Some light bedtime reading.
Well, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's not a story. Gosh, Caleb is so dark. It's not a story about what happened, as in, and then he struck me again.
Yeah.
It's a story.
It's a story about lives interrupted.
Yes.
I do love historical fiction. It's one of my favorites.
That was. You think about that. What a crazy time. Like, I got into a disagreement with my dad on this one time about this issue because I was like, you just can't put an American citizen, and you just can't hold him without trial. He's like, well, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's like, well, yeah, I know, but like, you still can't. That's why your rights matter. I mean, you can't. I don't know. We had a very different. He had, like, looking back on it, was like almost like a not a nostalgic. That's not what I mean, but charitable, almost. Like, I could see things were stressful. You had to figure out what's what, and we came to a sharp disagreement on that. And I don't know. It's an overreach.
Well, there's a clinical term, and I think this relates to all of our everyday lives. Well, I know it does. There's a clinical term of which, you know, I'm the product of many years of public education in Kentucky, so I don't know the clinical term. Spoiler alert. I know about it.
Learning is
Could
strange.
not, get the answer correct on an exam, though. No question about that. But that says, it's a part of the bias that exists within all of us that causes us to look and go, well, yeah, I'm an American, and so I don't look at those camps quite the same as I look at if there's a story tonight on the news about some non-democratic country rounding up people and putting them in camps and holding them because they're suspicious. We don't view those the same way.
No, we don't.
And, trying to do our jobs effectively while living with that bias existing within us.
Yeah.
That's a daily struggle, I think, for all of us.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, transition question.
Yeah. Okay,
This is good.
so TC, we really want to hear you tell us about your favorite failure.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
You guys are tough.
Trying to be.
Tough. Favorite failure.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're focusing on work here.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to be, because if you learned something.
Well, I don't know how I would categorize one as favorite. That's helped me
Yeah,
a
like-
little
You
bit.
learned the most
That was the
from
most
it?
profitable. You're like, okay, that was so educational, and I mined so much good wisdom out of that. I'm going to carry that for the rest of my life.
It didn't seem fun at the time, but looking
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, unfortunately with me, that would allow me to name 3 or 4 because usually it takes me 3 or 4 doses
Yeah. Yeah.
of the same medicine in order to actually take it. I think that, I'm going to, Faith won't be surprised by this, but I'm going to ramble just a little bit in
Do it.
hopes of finding the answer along the way. I can tell you that I've had a lot of those. I mean, and I mean that quite sincerely. I'm trying to think through and a lot of those where, hey, really valuable lessons learned. But I'm going to go with maybe one that I would put the most on me.
Okay.
Because what I mean is, when you ask that question, the first thing that comes to my mind is something that I learned about filing sales tax properly as a controller in my first job in the car business. But really, that lesson came about because of the failure of my predecessor.
Uh-huh.
The lesson that I have had to learn multiple times, and hopefully we're good now, is really an issue of pride, and that is the lesson was about not listening to others regarding the behavior and lack of trustworthiness of a critical senior member of a team. Hey, look, good news is we're talking about a previous organization. So any conspiracy theories that I just spawned there,
Open
I want
season.
to pull those back. Previous organization,
Yeah.
but I had, countless people. We all know you need a good inner circle. You need people that see things differently than you and that bring stuff to you. You also need enough humility to listen to them and to not just always believe you're right. And certainly belief is important, confidence is important, but, ignorance that comes from a lack of humility conquers that. And so it had to do with, again, not listening to people trying to tell me, hey, this isn't the way you see it. This person is up to no good, and not listening to that. And in my most honest moments, I know that the not listening had a lot to do with wanting to be right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes sense.
It does make sense. Because you kind of dug in. I felt that way. It's like, well, I said this is the way I feel. it takes a big man to go back and say, you know what, my initial assessment was wrong. I read it wrong. You're right, and have to go back and then start over. And sometimes you just want to double down to just hope you wait it out.
My sister always doubles down.
No, no question, and that's what I mean. That I'm hopeful. I'm not near confident enough to say lesson learned, check, got it. But I certainly have taken some steps to try to make sure that lesson learned step got it.
Is there anything that gave you pause or reservations about, any reticence to step into that role?
You mean other than my advanced age?
I mean, she's like, loves honesty, and he does not like dishonesty. You know, and it's funny because that was a hat on a hat statement. Oh, you're saying